I think it's pretty easy for us to be seduced by our own success. We don't realize how far, or of course we are, because there's so many signals telling us we're on the right path. We're making more money, we're building taller buildings, we're making faster trains, and all of this is going to fix everything. And no one is really looking at what a huge insult this is to this life support system that we enjoy.
We've got to recognize that there are other ways that we can do things, and that so many of the things that we do have tremendous impacts on people that we don't ever see.
Much of the change that we now need to navigate is a process of changing our framing stories. One of the most important and most powerful ways of changing our stories is through demonstrations, showing people what's possible, and that, of course, is exactly what you're engaged in the Living Buildings work.
Doing less damage is inappropriate. It's a vulgar act in today's world. Each act has to be loving or regenerative or restorative. It takes a whole shift, I think, in consciousness to get to that point.
As I've worked on this building, I've become a part of the building, part of the process. As we have all of the things that are happening with the eco-machine, the water reclamation part of this building, and the microorganisms and the fungi and the plants, and it really struck me that I'm a player in this, and that I am an integral part in the drama, but I am not the being that dominates nature in this, that I am a part of a living cycle.
It's something that we could talk about, but until someone actually builds it or does it and proves it, now the philosophy has an anchor to hold it in place.
I think they are icebreakers. People that are brave enough to really push through icy waters, that show people that this is the way that we need to head.
It's changing the culture of our office. I myself, I cannot imagine how much I've learned through this project. I think everybody has learned. And how sensitive we've become to these issues, like chemicals in the building. If it wasn't for Living Building, we wouldn't think that way. It's Living Building that pushing us to think that way.
The child attending this child care center will learn to live an entirely different life than you or I lived when we grew up. They'll expect their black water to be treated. They'll expect their flushing water and their non-potable water to come from the sky. They'll expect their building to generate its own energy. And then when they grow up as adults, their expectation for their children will be at least this, if not greater. So I think buildings like this will start to change the whole programming of our culture and our society.
We now have a bar that I think befits us as a very adaptive species who can figure this out, who really can figure this out with nature's help.
People are starting to understand that we're the key to our own recovery. And I'm seeing these remarkable examples all over the country of people, by hook or by crook, figuring out ways to support and empower their own communities.
None of us would be here without these long traditions of protectors of the values that are essential for a good human life or a healthy human community. So it's just our turn to be that.
The world's first living buildings are now built.
Now let's really get up to speed and let's try to work in an environment where time is not our friend.
This is just the start. Lighthouses, if you will, of where civilization needs to head, how we need to build, and hopefully someday that this is merely how we build everything.
I see problems down the line.